The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Neagle.
High in an Italian sky, we look down at Autodromo Internazionale Enzo E. Dino Ferrari, or more simply known as Imola, which this afternoon plays host to round 3 of 7 on the Formula Neagle Season 9 schedule, sanctioned by the Absolute Beginner League with all the Skip Barber open wheel excitement from green flag to victory donuts seen live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. This 15-minute streamy award-worthy pre-race show will count us down to when the lights go off and the grid smokes away towards Verante Tamburello. I'm going to leave these all to Joe here. To Tamburello, a left-right left punch that starts the clock ticking on this 45-minute event. So bring cyberspace into your place. Follow the double P rule here, which is pizza and Peroni. Then plop yourself into your lazy boy and enjoy the simulated open-wheeled action that will be streaming your way. Ciao, everyone, and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. I'm your host, Bill Soupzon. Here to call all the corner names is Joe Peak. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is our director, Amjad Yaman, and at his disposal will be the camera locations provided by the Ansel Adams of iRacing, Dougie Beard. GSRC's coverage of Formula Neagle is made possible thanks to the good folks at ilovesimracing.co.uk, the home for your personal created button boxes. The Season 9 champion will win a custom-made button box from I Love Sim Racing. Sim Racing, your way. Joe, the series leaves the rolling and spacious digs at Road Atlanta, where all the corners are numbered, to the home of the Ferrari, where all the corners have Italian names that gives one of the commentators some problems. Tell us a little bit about this place.
Absolutely. The home of Ferrari and their fans, the Tifosi. But in the virtual world, there's no screaming crowd to give you that extra couple tenths per lap. Instead, drivers are going to be looking at the various chicanes to gain time. And just, if you want to just say chicane, that's what variante means. There's 17 turns around this 3-mile track, but they're all very, very different. Making sure to get plenty of practice to learn each of their idiosyncrasies will pay off. Just like its sister Italian track Monza, this circuit is very fast, but it's much more technical and has a lot more elevation change. There's plenty of history around this place, but before we get distracted by that, let's hop on the GSRC Skippy and check out the lap guide. All right, we've got Amjad Yaman and the GSRC Skippy, so let's do a lap around Imola. Coming across the start-finish line, the track weaves a little bit back and forth, so you'll see drivers try to straight line this part until the braking for Tamburello. That's going to make it difficult to tell whether a driver is defending, so some wires might get crossed in a battle. Now we slow it up for Tamburello, which has 3 apexes, but in the Skippy, the first 2 are all you really need to care about. Like most chicanes, back up the first part to open up the second, and then in this third left-hander, keep your foot in it and swing it around the bend. From there, you've got a short rush to Villeneuve. This chicane can sometimes offer a passing opportunity, but it's tough. The first apex is the faster one, so it can make the entry a little sketchy. It also means the second one is easy to get over ambitious with. Not much time to think though, because up next is Tosa. This is a typical hairpin. Square off your exit with a late apex and you'll wind up with better lap times. However, your speed is very important coming off this turn, because as you can see, the uphill climb afterwards is pretty steep. With not much power in the Skippy, you need to carry momentum to be competitive. Hold to the right as we come over the crest to get the car lined up for Piratella. This corner is deceptive and it's very easy to miss the apex. Swing the car left, and up next is Aqua Minerale. This is a very tricky double apexer, with the first half being more about setting up the car for the second. If you manage to get it woed up and hit the second apex, be sure not to drift too far off to the left, since it can get you a slowdown penalty. That will make you a sitting duck if you're in a battle, because your competitor can just breeze past on your way to the Alta chicane. Even without an opponent getting a slowdown penalty, this can usually be an opportunity for an overtake. But this is a slow, tight chicane, so you want to make sure you're not still side by side by the time you swing your car in there. On exit, the AstroTurf is fair game, so don't be shy about letting the car slide wide. Now we start to come back downhill again, and the track will weave just a bit once more. Stay to the right and make sure you have your brake marker set because Ravazza comes at you in a hurry. The entry is downhill, making it easy to skitter off into the gravel. You get a little bit of a break and then you really need to nail the second apex. That's because it dumps you onto the longest straight of the course. This last turn will make or break your lap time and also decide how easily you can defend from your opponents. But if you kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Imola.
Our director, Amjad Yaman, in the cockpit behind the GSRC Skippy, taking us around Imola. All right, let's go ahead and look at the points now. After 2 races, the Estonian is a-rollin'. Aeronum is perfect, 2 wins in 2 races, and the Bushfink Blue driver, 10-point lead. You know, that 10-point lead is twice as big as any lead from any driver last season, over the entire season. David Burns for damage beyond repair rust, or damage beyond recognition rust, has been on the radar of the commentators, competitors, and fans for some time now. His second place is not surprising. Okay, now there's a 5-way tie for third between Vincent Bream, Mikkel Engstrom, Johan Halberg, Liam Quinn, and Johan van de Belt. Out of all that bunch, it should be noted that the fan belt, Johan van de Belt, should be saluted for climbing 13 spots into that tie. All right, let's go to the team championships now. And when it comes to the team points, no change on the top, with Scott Brazier chipping in 5 points to go along with the whopping 40 that Num put in, putting Bushfish Pink well out in front. DBR's team talent, manned by Mr. Excitement, Liam Quinn, and the fan belt is up 5 spots into second. The antisocial David Burns solo effort there for DBR. Rust is in third, and Bushfink Blue and Yellow round out the overlay. So, Joe, we've gone around the track here a little bit. We've talked about the points, but we're not done yet. Tell us about Formula Neagle, some of the series and race details that are coming up.
Absolutely. As you mentioned earlier, the official sponsor is ilovesimracing.co.uk, the home for your personal created button boxes. This is the 9th season for the Formula Neagle Cup. These guys have really enjoyed the Skippy, and they've kept it around for a while. This is the Skip Barber Formula 2000 car that they're driving in this series. Now, this is round 3 of 7. 4 of them are going to be 45-minute races this season, and 3 of them are going to be 70-minute enduro races. And there are no dropped races in this season, so every finish matters. You got to keep the points up, you got to finish well, you got to be consistent. Now, of course, there's also the race details that we need to go over. This is an open setup series. There's not a lot you can do in this, Skippy, but, you know, for the guys that are fast, fine-tuning it can help them find that last tenth or two around the track. The fuel is set at 65% of what the full fuel load can be in the Skippy, which means there's going to be a large pit window, but there will be at least 1 pit stop today. They have 3 lone qualifying laps, which they're taking place right now, so nobody else is out on the track with them. They can't get a draft. However, they only have 3 laps to get a clean one in. If they go off track, if they have a spin or anything like that, that lap will not count, so they got to get one in without touching the grass. Race today is going to be a 45-minute one, so it's going to be one of their sprint rounds. It is a standing start in this series, and there are no full course cautions. If you get into an accident, you can't get caught up with a safety car. There is an incident cap, however, to try and keep guys clean. And if you're not familiar with iRacing, an incident is when you go off track or when you have a spin, contact another car, or contact the wall. So if you get 17 of those incident points, you are disqualified on the spot. There are no fast repairs either, Bill. You like to call it, you break it, you bought it, and that is a good way to describe it. Whatever damage you get, you are stuck with. You got to come in and get the damage repaired during your pit stop. And if they can't get it repaired, well, just got to deal with it. Weather is dynamic today, and actually let me take a look and see what we're dealing with here today, Bill. 106 track temperature. Not the hottest we've seen in this series, but it's certainly going to cause the cars to be slipping and sliding around a little bit out on this very technical track.
Thank you, Joe. We'd like to give you those bits of information so you can follow along with us. You know exactly what's going on. Now, this series, Joe, prides itself when it chooses the tracks, the venues to travel to. It's not scared of draft tracks. In fact, it actually looks for those. Would you say that Imola probably falls into that category, where draft will play a factor here?
Yeah, it will, but the main part is here where you're seeing Darren Kuhn on the front stretch. It's the longest straight of the course, longest portion. Well, it's not quite straight, but the longest portion that you're on the gas fully, and you'll see a lot of guys trying to use it. Now, what I mentioned on the lap guide is that it weaves back and forth, and that makes it kind of tough because you can't really tell where your opponent is going to go always. They can kind of drift their way across the track and just squeeze you a little bit and maybe not make it easy to tell which way they're going to defend. There are a couple other places where maybe you can get a whiff of a draft, but it's not going to be as strong. Really, ideally, I think other than the draft on that front stretch, the main place that you want to try and get it done is getting a good launch off of the corners, especially the chicanes, to really get yourself an easy pass just accelerating by.
And we have several champions here. The current reigning champion is here, and Johan Hallberg, past champions of Errol Num from Estonia, and Tuan Tran from the Netherlands. Now, Tran today, though, is going to be serving a penalty. He's going to start from the back because of some Road America incidents back in the last round, round 2, when he got involved in a couple incidents there with Ricard Allard and Jonas Blix. So a penalty for the Mama Jean drivers you see on the screen right now. He's the Season 6 champion. Season 7, of course, went to Errol Nam, and our reigning and defending champion right now is Johan Hallberg. Thank you. All right, Joe, we've talked about the draft a little bit. Let's talk pit strategy, and this is all about how long can you stay with the main group up front. That seems to be the story in most of these races.
Yeah, and this is a tough one. I think the main thing, especially for these guys that maybe will be in the top 10 but not be leading the way, I'd say pit early. You remember I mentioned those chicanes, that this is a technical track. Since you really can't use that draft to try and stay with people and be faster that you normally can, I think if you can find a bit of clear track, get your pit stop done, get yourself out of the way of fighting, and try and run some hot laps that way, because you don't know if the guys around you will start battling it out and slow themselves down, or get a slowdown penalty by trying to outbrake someone in their battle in one of these mini chicanes throughout this course. So my philosophy, if I was out there, would be get clear track.
Now, this series uses the same percentage of fuel, 65%. Now, what that means is that doesn't mean they start with a small tank. I mean, with a half-filled tank or a 65% filled tank. It means that their tank is actually shrunk in size 65%. So they start with a full tank, but it's not quite as big as it usually would be. But because they use the same 65%, no matter the race distance, whether it's one of their 45-minute sprint races or one of their 70-minute mini enduro races, what that means today is, Joe, the pit window is huge. It can be anywhere from the first couple minutes to almost to the very end.
And we've seen drivers employ anything and everything in between. Tuan Tran is infamous for nearly going, I think it was all lap but one at some point one season. So some of these guys do like to maybe kind of hang out, let everybody else try and pit, and not get caught up in traffic. Again, that plays back to what I was talking about of finding yourself some clear track. And anybody who has a crew chief, they're going to have a huge advantage in that sense if they can see, hey, I know that, just like F1 employees, I know my pit bogey is this amount of time. I can get back out and not deal with traffic and jump the guy that I'm fighting with. It's going to be hard to tell who's going to try what today, because each of these guys kind of plays it on the fly, and some of them tend to like to do it early, some tend to do it late. But that's what I love about this series, Bill, is it really no two race is the same with these drivers.
And of course, some drivers stay in the draft the whole way, and while they start with the same amount of fuel, same size tank, they don't burn it up quite as much, which means that they can maybe have a shorter pit stop. Okay, now, despite the popularity of this next segment, it is not helping GSRC earn that Streamy Award nomination that we're trying for. So, Joe, on behalf of my trophy case, let's see if you can get one this time. How about 3 for 3 and time for Peaks Podiums picks?
Well, we were thrown a curveball because Piers Kaki was the fastest in practice, but we thought it was maybe due to draft. Well, he's second in the qualifying. So, it's hard to bet against Eero Noom. He's on pole again, so I'm going to say Noom for the win. I'm actually going to go for Kaki in second. He doesn't always have the best of luck, best of strategy. I think he's going to be able to pull it out today. Vandenbelt, I think that he's going to come on strong today. I'm going to call Johan van den Belt for a third.
All right, everyone keeping score at home, or if you're watching alone, it's Noom, Cocky, and Van den Belt today. Now, here's a new name. We'll talk about it in a minute. Brian Holmes, fourth fastest qualifier. There's a name we haven't seen before. But right now, qualifying is just about done. So I think what we'll do right now is go ahead and run through your starting grid. We'll take it two at a time here, Joe. Errol Num and Pierce Cocky on the front row.
I'm not sure that we're going to have a lot of time, actually, with it being a standing start. So David Burns starting third with Brian Holmes in fourth. Johan van den Belt will start in fifth position with Wojciech Podolak starting in sixth. Then Johan Hallberg, last season's champion, will start the race in seventh. Vincent Brame in eighth and Mikael Engstrom in ninth. Rounding out the top 10, one of the guys that's been looking good but can't quite make it happen sometimes is Ricard Allard.
Hustling through, Scott Bergier and Jans van Velt in the 12th position there. Fabian Newbluth in 13th. 14th goes to Bastian Hausman. Adrian Garcia Cruz and Ashley Beard 15th and 16th. Next row, Liam Mr. Excitement Quinn and Alex Strum. Then rounding out 19th and 20th, Joachim Limgren and Mikael Hoffenson.
Haflidason, I think it is. That's a tough one. David Hoffman's going to be starting 21st with Rodrigo Ferreira in 22nd. M. Van Kampenhout is going to be starting in 23rd with Michael Parks. That's in his year one in 24th. Darren Bolton starts the race in the quarter century mark, 25th. Mark Regueras in 26th. It's a little bit farther down than we're used to seeing from Mark. Frederick Neptune also farther down than we're used to, 27th. Cooper Collier in 28th. Kevin Mills in 29th. And then starting 30th, it's going to be Stefan Schmidt.
Got it all the way through. I like to do my homework and study my names ahead of time. They've thrown in some new ones there. I better get on the job. Oh, sorry. Reno Tranny, Edgar Sancinelli, Darren Kuhn, Adam Olsen, Michael Key, Daniel Kruger, Dieter Smet, Tuan Tran in the back, and Adam Branshaw. Round out your field. Sorry about that. Boy, we have a large grid today. Thought I was done. How about 40 names on the grid right now? Gather up, the chickens take cover behind the cows because the horses are out of the barn, and the rolling Estonian Errol Num leads them down into the first chicane. He's going to be followed by Pierce Cocky. There's Joe's two picks. David Burns, then side by side behind them, that's Holmes and Van den Belt.
Looks like Wojciech Podolak is getting up in the mix as well. He's in sixth right now as they head down to Villeneuve. Everybody was very nice and tidy through Tamburello, which can be difficult sometimes in these big packs.
Looking through the back of the pack, everybody's working those chicanes now. Nice job from all the 40 drivers. Boy, that's impressive. They get all 40 around. Up, we lost one driver.
Trying to pick it out.
I think it was Figueroa got into it with...
Looks like Collier.
Collier, yep.
Oh, we got a big wreck. A lot of cars getting into trouble coming through Tosa. Oh, my goodness. I saw some 4 wide trying to go around that accident there.
Yeah, it happened. Might have happened with Adam Olsen up in front. There's cars going the wrong direction. Lundgren was caught in it.
Going to come back live. We might have to look at that one later and dissect it a little bit later, but that took out a lot of cars towards the mid and back pack, unfortunately.
Yeah, it started with newcomer David Hoffman got in it with Joachim Lundgren, and then all heck broke loose after that. If there was a live marshal, they would have thrown one there. But meanwhile, out in front, Errol Num with about a 0.7 of a second lead over Pierce Cocky. Burns, Van den Belt, and Podolak has now got it around the newcomer Brian Holmes.
This is where it's going to get interesting now. This is the stretch that has the draft. And look at Cocky get a really good run here on Noom. I don't think he's close enough to really make a challenge for the lead by the time they break for Tamburello, but he is going to be staying up in the draft here. Bigger question is Burns, who's much farther back and got a much worse run.
Burns doing all he can to stay on the back of Cocky. Cocky clearly has the toe of Noom right there, and now Burns closes in as they work through that first chicane. Van den Belt also doing his very best. You don't see him on the screen right now. He's just out of your picture. You'll see him get in. There he is, fourth in line, trying to get up. Then it's a long way back to Brian Holmes.
Boy, Podolak and Hallberg got very close in the chicane, but Hallberg was able to overtake Wojciech down into Tamburello, and he's holding ahead right now. And it's going to be tough to try and get around into Tosa. I think the better bet here, Bill, is to get a run off the corner instead of trying to outbrake someone into this hairpin.
The top 4 is spread out. This is a great ride. As we look back from Johan Hallberg, he's looking back at a train behind him, boy. Holmes ahead of him. Podosek behind him. Brame, Allard, Engstrom, Bergier.
And this is one of those tracks that basically birthed the truly train term. So if Holmes can hold up in front of these guys, then this is a good place to do it with all these chicanes. It's tough to try and get by sometimes, but in these skippies a little bit easier because you don't have the arrow wash to worry about.
Now there's Allard making a move. You see him now as he's on the inside. It looks like he's going to get that position as he gets around Engstrom. Oh, sorry,
I think that was Brame.
Yeah, that was Brame who got around. Thank you.
That was up into the Alta chicane, one of the trickier places to try and go side by side. So I'm pretty sure that Allard is happy that he's able to get single file by the time they get to that. Now they come down to Tosa, and this one I always have the hardest time, Bill, trying to get it to bite, and we got another accident. Hallberg's involved in it. We got a car going straight off. Brian Holmes.
Hallberg involved in it. There's Bastian, I think, involved in it as well.
Cruz went straight into the outside wall. That looked more like hardware failure. Or no, it wasn't actually. He got into Beard. And Beard got tipped into Bastian Hausman. And this is a second incident behind these guys that we're going to see here. Just a little bit ambitious into there. I can't remember who it was that he tipped around.
Yeah, that was Adrian Cruz who came in like a missile, and there you see Cruz right there.
Gonna watch Cruz. This is the second incident behind them. Big old thump back into the rear of that car.
And now we're back live. Nothing changing up front. Oh, let me correct myself. Pierce Cockey has got around Num.
Cockey's getting confident out there. We haven't seen him really challenge Newman in the past, but he's now got himself up into P1. And look at this. Burns has got himself back in the mix. These top 3 all together. This is going to be interesting throughout the race. They're making it a draft race.
Cockey got that pass done, and not surprisingly, down the main straight going into that first chicane.
And just behind them, you can see just glimpses of him on screen. Vandenbelt is keeping my picks alive. He's in 4th, but he's dropping back. He's not really holding on white right now.
Now go ahead.
Brame was getting very agitated on the mic, and we're hearing that Hallberg got turned.
Vincent Brame is really upset. Let's see if...
Well, Hallberg just pulled off the track. I'm not sure what was going on there.
It looks like just a little bit back, Brame got punted by John Van Velt. I'm not sure if that's really what is causing him. Oh, and then he got into it with Bergier, I guess.
Yeah, Von Went and Scott Brazier just basically came together on a straight. Very unusual. This is a strange race, Bill.
Yeah, really. Usually, our director usually doesn't have to work as hard as he does in many races. Right now, he's having to pull it up. All right, let's go ahead. Take a deep breath here, everybody, and let's just set the stage here. Your leader right now, Pierce Cockey, has been out front for about a lap and a half ahead of Nome and David Burns. Those guys run 1, 2, 3. Doing his very best to stay with him is Johan van der Belt. Then it's a long way back to this next train, which what used to be a lot larger. Now it's much smaller with Allard, Podosek in there, and Engstrom. That was like a 12-car train, Joe, and they just took each other out. It's down to 3 cars now.
I was going to say attrition played a much bigger factor than I anticipated. I didn't make a note about that, and I guess it's going to be more of a matter, at least in this early stage, of keeping out of trouble.
Well, I don't want to lay the blame on the newcomers, but the names that I'm having trouble pronouncing because I haven't done my homework, they seem to be involved in a lot of these incidents. So might just be a getting your feet wet kind of thing. learn to settle down. This series is really notorious for having nice, clean racing. This is probably one of the more messy races we've called in a long, long time.
It almost reminds me of what we used to see with the MX-5 World Tour, Bill, where new guys would come in and they'd have to go through the school of hard knocks because they're not used to how the racing is.
There we're looking at Brazier right now running in 8th position. Of course, for Bush Fink Pink, his teammate is your driver currently running in 2nd right now. Now,
I'm surprised Brazier didn't get a slowdown. He went way off track coming up through Alta, and usually if you go too far off, it tells you to give some time back. Meanwhile, lead is still swapping places as Noom looks like he's taking it back.
Yep, there he goes. They get it in that familiar position, boy. Unfortunately for these guys, that's at the end of the beginning of the lap, just past the start-finish line. So, not sure if that's going to play much into a factor when it comes down to a snipe at the end.
It looks like they're playing very nicely. They're trying to swap back and forth there, so they're doing it right. If they're going to be changing positions a lot, it's just with the draft.
It might be a conscious effort. The last thing they need is to battle and bring in one more car into the mix of Johan van der Velde. Johan can't be happy seeing what's going on in front. I'll give you a little time right now. Back from Burns running in 3rd to Van der Velde is about 2.7 seconds.
And looking at the lap times, he is not catching them, so it seems to be working. Right now, your order is Noam, Cocky, and Burns. Now, Burns, I wonder, he hasn't been getting up in the mix of these guys. I wonder if he's saving fuel like you mentioned earlier in the race.
Look for him to have a quick pit stop and maybe be in front once everybody takes that stop. Although I just don't think he's going to make up enough time to get away from the clutches of the other guys. So with Allard, Podolzek, and Engstrom running in 5th, 6th, and 7th, why don't we take a second, Joe? Keep an eye on the guys. We've talked a little bit about, let's look at this battle, Brazier and Hofland Dyson. Brazier out in front right now. No, actually not. Michela's out in front. Hofland Dyson now has moved up into 8th position. Scott Brazier back there in 9th. Let's see if I can round out the top 10 for you. Rodrigo Fiera running all by himself in 10th.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of track, which with how the racing has been so far, I think that's probably a good thing that he's kind of got some room of his own. Meanwhile, as we come onto the front stretch with Brazier, got a great run. He's not even going to wait for the draft. He's already to the side of Michael.
Let's go to 6th position right now. Podolzek is being passed on the inside. Actually, no, Podolzek making the move on Allard. They were talking over each other saying, and the mind games begin. So Podolzek up to 5th, Allard and Engstrom.
Meanwhile, we might have had some more problems with Collier. Remember, he had trouble on the very first lap coming through Villeneuve, and it looks like this happened in Ravazza.
Solo spin, it looks like. Just got a little bit, got that left rear out on the grass, or right rear out on the grass.
Yeah, that's different from my experience. Usually I get understeer coming into that corner, but I guess with the lift throttle oversteer of the Skippies, he just, like you said, dipped it into the dirt and couldn't hold on to it.
Joe, what are the curves like here? Are they big? Can you play with them, or do you want to stay off them?
It depends. Most of the curves are pretty flat, but here you see in Tamburello, those big inside curves at the apexes as we have another swap for the lead. It looks like, oh, no, this is Van Kampenhout.
Joe, a little bit of psyche there while that was going on. There was a pass for lead, but go ahead, Joe, finish your point on the curves.
I'm just that good, Bill. But yeah, no, any of these, there at Alta, you can see as well as our leaders come through. Those are very tall curves. Those are the ones, the Skippy can handle them, but as with all cars, usually you want the tires to be in contact with the pavement as much as possible, so you really don't want to clatter over them too much and try to get yourself the best grip out of the corners.
Looking up front now, these are the 3 guys, Cocky, Num, and the guy that I like what's going on, the guy sitting back there in the hunt but saving fuel is David Burns. Burns has really positioned himself. We talked about it in the pre-race show. He used to fly under the radar. Well, now we have an eye on you, David, and your pace has drawn some attention. And I wouldn't be surprised if you pick up your first W today. As we have a pass for the lead right now, they swap positions again.
And you can definitely see these guys are cooperating because Kaki backed out of that braking zone very early. And these guys, what's interesting in the Skippy Bill is you can be so much more aggressive on the first part of the Tamburello chicane. And a lot of the higher power cars, you kind of want to hold tight to the right on the second apex of Tamburello to really give you a nice wide arc. But these Skippies just lack so much power that you can just power through the first two apexes of the Tamburello chicane and stay to the left all the way through the third part.
Hey, let's quickly jump to 11th position here. A little battle between... Oh, my goodness, and there he goes. My senses were right. Going off into the sand is Liam Quinn coming back onto the track. I think there's going to be a slowdown penalty for him. Now, let's see if Alex Strum should... If really, in sportsmanship, if Quinn gets a slowdown penalty, Strum should stay behind him. And look at that. I think... Does that feel like a slowdown penalty there? It's kind of hard to tell when you have two cars side by side, but...
Yeah, he held behind him.
Yeah, I think he did. So what happened there, they were in a nice little battle. Did we catch it on screen or did we get there a little bit late? He got a little bit of a punt. Quinn got punted there and Strum set him off in the dirt. They're still going at it. This is a battle for 11th.
I was going to say, Sturm didn't learn his lesson. He was right up on the rear spoiler of Quinn once again. And I really wouldn't be trying to do that down in Aqua Minerale, but here he goes, looking to the inside, up in Alta. He's not fully alongside, and there, he makes this smart move as we ride on board and just backs out of it. You really, it's almost like the inner loop of Watkins Glen going through Alta. You can't go too wide.
And of course, Quinn is in there for team talent, so those points matter as he's thinking big picture, wants to help out his teammate. Now here we go, there's a little challenge going on in there, and I think he's going to get this done.
Well, he's got it done there, but now he sets himself up terribly for the front stretch, because now, look at that. We've got Quinn already going around him.
Almost made that pass too soon. Wouldn't be surprised if Sturm can get back in behind him and make the pass again, but nope. So there you have Quinn. That's a nice battle going on for 11th.
I guess they are line of Sturm now.
Oh, very good.
Couldn't help myself.
Yeah. Let's go back up front. Pass for the lead on an unusual spot this time. And there goes Errol Num in there. And Kaki's going to drop back into second.
That's really unusual. I'll have to go back and look and see. Maybe he just got a much better run. Yeah. I guess he got a better run coming out of Villeneuve. Like I said, usually, even though you can make passes into that hairpin, it's just not the smartest place to try and get it done with the long run back up the hill, giving an opportunity to the guy behind. Whatever the case, these guys don't seem to be too concerned about swapping it back and forth. So now I'm back up to the front through Aqua Minerale, back up the hill here, and everybody looking very clean right now. These guys are being patient. They're not pushing the limits of the track too much because they know they've got pace, and Vandenbelt continues to drop behind them.
You talked about pace, and pace has never really been the problem of Pierce Kaki. I hate to harp on it, and I think it's going to end today, but it's always been fuel strategy for him. Never seems to put in enough to get to the end, so let's see if he can break that string today. Get the car all the way in there, see if he can grab a podium. David Burns back there watching the whole thing play out in front of him. And I talked about that interval from Burns back to Vandenbelt. My goodness, well, it's up about another 2 seconds. So those three cars are really pulling away. Poor Johan Vandenbelt running in 4th position. Really hasn't had anybody to race for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, and in fact, Wojciech Podolak behind him hasn't been gaining on him either. In fact, Wojciech is currently leading his own little pack, which is splitting up now because Ricciardo and Engstrom are now into the pits.
Coming in with 28 to go. So these guys will be our benchmark.
Remember Scott Brazier? He's still battling it out with Hafla Dason as they come down the front stretch into the braking for Tamburello side by side. These guys aren't working together like we were seeing with the front. Oh! And that is the trouble that you get with racing side by side on the front stretch. It weaves and it bobs, and you can't tell where your opponent is, the line that they're always going to take. It almost caught them out there.
They both thought they were going straight. There was Brazier trying to get as far right as he could to get a good entry. Now they go side by side again. What a good battle these guys are putting on. Good trust between them.
That is gutsy going too wide into Villeneuve. That entry is very fast, and look at Brazier defend. But this is not really what you're going to do, what I want to do, because now he's going to have a horrible exit off of Tosa, and here comes Haflidason creeping up behind him as we ride on board. He dips out to the side. They're going to go side by side again into Piratella.
Haflidason gave out a primal scream as he made the pass. Oh my goodness.
Was there contact there? And the damage on the wing is telling us that there was definitely contact. Yeah. Now they come into Aqua Minerale, and Brazier is good enough to get off of him there.
I don't know how often he was. He got in and gave him a little bit of a nudge as well. Brazier, I don't think he's real happy.
Like that. Whoa! And Sturm and Quinn has finally come to a head here. Where is this? This looks like Aqua Minerale. And we watch the replay. Oh, it looks like Sturm just did not anticipate the exit that Quinn had coming out of that corner, and he turns him.
We ride on board with Sturm right now.
This is a corner where it can admittedly be easy because it's so tricky, especially in these cars with what I mentioned before, the lift throttle oversteer. Some drivers are going to be more timid, some are going to be more aggressive through there, and that makes very varying lines and braking points. So that's why I personally don't like to be too close to the car ahead heading through that double apexer.
Okay, Wojtek Podolzek has come in for his stop.
You can see the DBR2 Stupid Dogs machine coming in, getting fuel. Not really a reason to get tires in these cars. We haven't seen too many guys try and employ that strategy. It doesn't give you an advantage. You don't necessarily lose time, but yeah, I mean, there's no point in taking new ones if it doesn't do anything for you.
I'm showing that it's Allard right now. Ricardo Allard, who's just going by pit exit right now, is your leader of all the cars who've pitted. In fact, he gets out just ahead of Podolzek. So Allard running 16th overall. Podolzek gets out in front of Stefan Schmidt, but Schmidt has yet to come in.
And ahead of him, we got quite a battle. Reino Tani with Edgar Sancinelli, and it looks like Holmes is involved in that. They're going to go too wide down into Villeneuve.
That's Chanelli on the inside there. Sancinelli on the inside. Tani on the outside. Now on the outside is Sancinelli. Now splitting them through the middle is Brian Holmes. Thank you very much, boys.
3 wide, and he made it work. We're still 3 wide through Tosa. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Now that's Allard. He's made his pit stop, so he's trying to put in some fast time here. He does not want to lose time mixed up with these guys. It's a battle for position. And honestly, Joe, these guys wouldn't realize, unless they're veterans of the series, they wouldn't realize what Allard's situation is right now. He's made his stop. He has places to go. That's Podolzek back in there also getting around Tani.
Well, it was a bold move, Cotton, and it did, in fact, pay off for Ricardo Allard as he made up a number of positions in about 3 corners.
Well, if that's going on, we don't need to go there, but the top 3 remain the same. Cocky, Gnome, and Burns not coming in yet. Allard is our benchmark right now of all the drivers who've pitted.
Yeah, these guys aren't dealing with any traffic at this point. There's no reason for them to come in. They've just got clear air. They're working well together. They're probably going to run it all the way to fumes on these things.
All right, now Brazier coming in.
He's obviously been in some adventures throughout today. And I wonder if he's going to get some of that damage fixed or if he's just going to be in and out. Oh, he's already moving.
He's beginning to roll. Let's see, where is if we can find Allard. Here comes Allard right now. Allard and actually in a battle. I imagine that's going to be with Holmes.
Side by side down to Tamburello. Allard has the inside, and he clearly outbreaks him. I'm not sure if that was just, whoa, he's a little hot into there, though. I think Holmes might be able to come back at him with a better exit.
Remember,
they're going to go side by side again. Sorry, Bill.
That's okay. Holmes not on the same pit strategy as these guys. Holmes still has a stop to make, I believe.
And Podolzek was caught up behind him because he took that weird entry down into Villeneuve. Let's see if he squares off the corner. Yeah, he goes for the over-under. Just about times it right, and I think he's going to get him up the hill.
Well,
Or is he?
See, no.
Oh, that was interesting. I thought he had a much better run. But give the advantage to Holmes down into Piratella.
Now, keep in mind, Holmes is fast. He had some problems. He qualified 4th, so he's got the pace to run with these guys. He's just fallen into some difficulty. I want to double-check, make sure Holmes is not pitted, and I'm correct. So,
did he get into trouble early on?
yeah, I think he was caught in the kerfuffle up there up front.
All right, now these guys have got some breathing space, so they're all splitting up a little bit. Let's see if they start to play a little bit nicer, if they get back into it when they get the draft on the front stretch. And you remember I said that the leaders didn't have traffic to worry about. Well, they're coming up to Fabian Jungbluth now, so they're starting to catch drivers who are at the tail of the field. I wonder if this is going to spur some of them to maybe try and peel off.
And just to follow up on a point I was making, Brazier came out in 3rd of all the cars who've pitted. Hey, here's a nice job from this newcomer there. Great job from the back marker that you mentioned. That was
Jungbluth?
Jungbluth.
He gets a
Good
bear
job.
claw?
He does. The next back marker United meeting, and our director is drooling, sounding like Homer Simpson in the booth.
Let's go to 7th, M. Van Kappenhout. I need to find out what that M stands for.
There we go.
And he's with Alex Sturm, who's been in the wars. Sturm, brave around the outside, missing his front wing from his earlier contact with Quinn.
Couple new names here that are getting a little attention.
Ooh.
Strum, and now here comes Kamperhout back on, looking to see if side by side as they work their way up.
Sturm got wheel spin off the corner, actually. He was very aggressive coming off of Tosa, and it hurt him.
This is a battle for 7th. Remember, both of these drivers still need to come in for a stop, but they are putting on a good show.
And Kampenhout just eyeing him up, just trying to figure out where he can try and get back past. Both of these guys have yet to pit.
And what you're watching, this kind of battling that you're looking on right now, is completely opposite of what's going on up front. Those front 3 guys are having a nice, easy Sunday drive right now. This running in formation, Cocky, Gnome, and Burns happy to do so, and leaving Vanderbilt behind now. It's about 6 seconds now back to 4th position.
Now, what's interesting, you mentioned that Allard is our highest pitter currently. That's still the case. Now, he started 10th. He's currently 11th after his pit stop. So he's looking like he's going to gain a bunch of places once those guys in front of him start to come in and take their fuel.
Yeah, Allard notorious for making podium positions here. Maybe I can get a little bogey time here if my software will do this. I can get you all the way back to the lead here for Allard. 55 seconds. So that's a pretty significant piece of ground.
Well, behind him we got another person peeling off. That's Holmes.
Yeah, now, that's probably good news for those guys who were battling with him. Good to get them out of there.
Looks like Sturm has finally come in and out. I guess I was wrong. I saw it incorrectly earlier. He has a front wing, although it is not in the best of shape. The good news is, Bill, the front and back wing really don't do a whole lot for this car. They don't provide a lot of downforce. It's not fast enough for that. So at best, maybe it's hurting your top end speed.
Looks pretty.
Oh yeah, I love the look of these cars. Whoa, is this for position here? With Kuhn.
That's Sturm and Hausman in there in that black and purple car.
Oh, excuse me, Hausman. I called it wrong.
And then Collier looking on from one spot back. Whoa!
Ooh.
Bastian
Getting
putting
the
on a
tail
little
out.
show there. Leader's in.
Oh, and by himself. Cocky and Burns continue on. Interesting.
Now, honestly, I think what Cocky and Burns have to do, I don't think they can afford to run out there risking that Numb is faster than they are together. So if these guys really need to come in, I would think next time.
Looking at the qualifying times, let's see. Noom was, oh yeah, he was significantly
Yeah.
faster, half a second faster. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think at this point these guys need to come in now.
But don't be surprised if Burns doesn't jump these guys, as he's been sitting back there.
Well, if he hears the magic tone in his ear, he should know that now is the time to come in.
Time to come in. That's the bell to pit. We have some real technical software here.
Also, Haflidason has come in and is now exiting.
Cocky and Burns out there running 1-2. Now let's see if Gnome has he got out yet. My software got me. Now he's pulled out. He gets around Schmidt. Running 5th.
And I'm trying to see what the gap is. Looks like it's about 20 seconds between himself and Allard. Noom is now our highest pitter, obviously. And Allard is, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get on the podium today.
Yeah, he's about 17 seconds back of Gnome. All right, the question is if these leaders have got to come in this time. They're working the back half of the track.
Down through Rivatsa. This is where we're going to see whether or not they are aware of the strategy situation. Cocky leading the way. He does not come in, but Burns does.
I love Pierce Cocky. I really do. His race strategy needs some fine-tuning, I believe. Now, Pierce, we'll see how this works out, though.
We need to get Sean up on the box for Pierce.
Sean Ambrose, one of our commentators here at GSRC, has a lot of experience up on the box. Okay, now Burns is in. What we do want to watch, though, we'll pick up Num. Just coming around what I'm going to call the final corner here, heading back out onto the main straight.
Yeah, this is definitely effectively the final corner. It's the one that matters. All these little bends, you're already flat out. You really want to get the acceleration off of Rivatsa.
My goodness, he's by him. Am I looking at the right?
Nope, they're going to be about dead even, I think, because now he's got to accelerate away. Here he comes.
Here he comes. Look at the momentum.
Wow, look at that. Timed to perfection. Gnome ahead of Burns by just about half a tenth.
That's all right. Burns has got to be pleased with that. At least he's still in the hunt.
Yeah, this is exactly what he needed to do. I'm guessing because he came in immediately, he was aware that Noam is faster by the qualifying times, and he knew that it doesn't matter what position he comes out in regards to Noam, as long as he's near him.
Well, Joe, let me put you on the spot and ask you this. Do you think the car is faster with the tank running down? Maybe Cocky thinks he's going to be faster if the car's a little lighter with less fuel.
Yeah, I mean, the car does get lighter. But he's not fast enough, I think, to try. It's not going to be significant enough that he's going to be able to try and streak away from these guys. And especially with that half-second difference I was mentioning.
You know, he's gonna keep playing as he stays out. Easy enough to tell. Let's see, we'll get a timing here as he goes across this time. And I really don't have a good time for Num yet because it's his out lap, but he did that one in 2:03.7. Well, let me collect 2:03.8 for Cocky. It'll be a little while till we get a timing on Num. Well, we can't. Well, yeah, Burns as well. So I don't have a last lap good time yet for Num.
Yeah, we'll get it soon here.
Should be noted that Vanderbilt has stayed out as well, so he's currently running second position.
This is where we need maybe an app that actually tells us sector times. That would be interesting.
That would be very good. Well, we're going to get one right here. Now, remember, I'll give you the time one more time. Cocky did a 2:03.8. This is their first real lap here. Num does a 2:04. So, might be looking good for Pierce. He's about a 2:04.4 there, about
he's
6/10 of a second faster. Yeah.
All right, so we've got another car in. I didn't quite hear. Oh, it's Campenhout. So he is now coming in, and I believe he was in the top 5 when he pitted.
And now he is rolling.
So
Looks
right now, up at the top, the drivers who have yet to pit are Cocky, Vandenbelt, Ferreira. I'm seeing Frederick Neptune has yet to come in. He's currently sitting 6th. And Parks is the last one of the top 10 who has not come in for fuel.
In fact, Neptune running in 6th right now. Why don't we put a little focus there on Frederick as he works his way around, I guess, the back marker there.
Didier Smet.
Now running like for all he's worth is Ricard Allard back in 7th. It was nice to see Frederick gets a little attention. I believe, let's see, if Frederick used to be on, he's Bushfink Racing Green. I thought it was the partner there of Noom, but I bring Green might be, Green is Hallberg, so that's Johann's partner.
And Hallberg is one of the ones that also had trouble early on, so basically Neptune is carrying the torch for that team right now, and quite well, I'd say.
Yeah. And we're going to try to put an emphasis on that team championship because truly, Joe, the drivers get as much pride out of winning, being on the team champion as they do the solo effort.
Well, and we've seen it's difficult to get 2 ringers, really. In
it really is.
So it takes consistency.
Okay, there is 11 minutes to go. When does Cocky come in? He's got the lap car of Adam Bradshaw ahead of him. Pierce may just be happy out there being in front for a while.
And Neptune has come in. That moves Ricard Allard up to 6 now. If I'm looking at this correctly, Allard should gain 1 more position when pit stops are fully finished, and that would be Rodrigo Ferreira.
Looks like a top 5 for Allard, I would think. He's going to file in there between Cocky, Vanderbilt, Num, and Burns ahead of him.
Which is no mean feat, starting in 11th place and gaining 6 positions at the sharp end of the field. But when you start close to the back, gaining positions can be a little bit easier through attrition. Up at the top, you're fighting tooth and nail for every single spot.
Oh, well, let's see what's up with Votek. He's not happy.
Oh, I think maybe lap traffic? Yeah, Didier Smet.
Oh, yeah, it was Smet who went off, and we can probably get this on replay. Not long ago, went off into the sand
about
and then
30 seconds.
Clipped Podosek as he went by.
Yeah, I think Smet maybe, I think it was more a mistake than him trying to get out of the way. He's on the outside of Villeneuve. Here you're going to see, here's Podosek coming up. Smet's the car is in front of him. Smet comes in fine on the first apex, and then the second one just starts to lose it, and they went off screen before we could see it there, but contact was definitely made.
Hey, our leader is in. So let's go ahead. That's going to give the lead over to Vanderbilt, who's decided to stay out. But the real question is, where's Errol Nunn? Well, right now he's going past pit entrance. He is down, going across the start-finish line right now. Is Cocky rolling yet? Cocky's just starting to roll.
In fact, Cocky is well out.
I think he's going to do it. The momentum for the rolling Estonian.
Now, where did Burns go? Burns has dropped off.
Burns not able to hang on to the back of Num.
I thought for sure that he was going to be able to tail him, but I guess with only 1 car breaking the draft, it's a lot harder for Burns to stay up in this. But Cocky may have come out, but it's only just ahead. Now, you like to always question this, Bill. Did he take enough fuel?
Yeah, boy. The only thing I think in his favor is that he was fast on the track.
Yeah, let me take a look at his laps. 203.9, 203.7, 203.8, 203.9. Noom was 204.4, 203.9, 203.5. So Noom was slightly faster in his later laps. But whatever happened with that 204.4, it seems like Noom was slowed up by something.
And just going back to Burns, they got caught in some lap traffic. It was Rodrigo Fiera as they went through a chicane, and Burns got separated from Errol Num, and that's what let Errol get out in front.
Lap traffic is an art, and it can be very tough, Bill, when you're the second car, because you want to follow them through, but you can't always trust that lap traffic knows it more than one car is coming by. So it can be brave and sometimes backfire on you if you try and slide through if the leader is pushing his way past lap traffic.
And speaking of the leader, our leader has just come in. That is the fan build, Johan van der Velde. Now, of course, he was well back. Don't expect him to be able to get out in front of Cocky and Noam as they come right now. You'll see them pass by.
But here's the question. Can he come out with Burns? Remember my picks for today.
Van der Velde rolling. Here comes Burns. You're going to see Burns go
Oh, he's well past. Yep. No such luck for me today. Meanwhile, Noam has retaken P1.
Van der Velde does get out well ahead of, as we expected, Ricard Allard, now who's going to cycle into 5th. So that takes care of everybody. Joe, let's go ahead and set the top 10 here so people take a deep breath. All the pits are done. Right now, your leader is, depends on really what lap it is, what Sean Ambrose likes to call lap du jour. Right now, it is the Roland Estonian Aero Num, but still in the hunt. Piers Cocky, does he have enough fuel? 3rd position, David Burns, who's back by about 3 seconds. Going to be hard for him to get up there. 4th position, Johan van der Velde. He's got about a 10-second lead all the way back to Ricard Allard, who's got about a 7-second lead back to Mikael Engstrom. Wojciech Podolzek in there as well, running in 7th position. Again, not much of a battle going on as we go all the way back to Scott Bergier. Then, about 12 seconds back to our 9th place driver, Rodrigo Vieira. And then finally, Mikkel Haflisdason.
Makes me think it's a name of an ice cream or something.
It does.
We're all thinking about food here, apparently. So, a nice run from Michael. We have seen him in this series before, but usually not up at the front. A top 10, I think, is a good accomplishment for Michael.
I must say, Haflindason is the most verbal of all the drivers over the mic. Nothing inappropriate, but quick to announce where he is.
Maybe he's coming from an oval background.
Okay, Joe, we're getting to that point now. We're getting to 5 minutes here when they cross the line. Actually, we can almost calculate where we are as we're going to have a pass for the lead.
All right, things are going to get more intense. They were really polite. It was after you earlier on in the race, but Bill, now you're going to see guys defend. They're not going to be as eager to try and just let the other guy by. But what's interesting is the start-finish line at this track is a little bit farther down the pit straight than most, especially at major courses like this where they tend to put them close to the final corner. I wonder if someone could get enough of a draft on the last turn to slingshot by.
We've seen a couple passing areas. Now, of course, the first one is into turn 1. Then the second one we've seen is right here through this block. We've seen passes made here. I don't expect we'll see one on the last lap.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Like I said, both of these guys are very smart drivers. I think they're already thinking about trying to size them up coming out of that last turn. But this is where these almost reconnaissance laps are important, of figuring out, okay, is he strong off that corner? Am I strong off of that corner? Can I actually make that happen? Because we saw this with the MX-5 World Tour the other day at Monza. You can't always rely on using that last-minute snipe.
No, and a lot of times, even though the drivers feel more vulnerable in the lead, sometimes they feel more confident up there as well, if that makes sense, to be vulnerable and confident at the same time. But kind of puts the destiny in their hands, and oh, it looks like Cocky got a little bit loose there. I'm not sure if that even matters to Arrow right now. I think Arrow's trying to do the math, figure out how many laps are left, where do I want to be.
Absolutely, and again, we have that question of, did either of them take enough fuel? They had very good stops. So do you want to be behind maybe to keep saving? Is that what Arrow is doing right now?
Okay, they're going to come across the line with just about 3 minutes ago, so I think they're probably going to get 2 from here, I would think.
All right, here we're getting a good view from onboard Noom of what the draft is like, and he wasn't able to get him by the line. We went past a little bit earlier there.
Okay, he's going to take it here, though. He's ducks to the inside. He's going to go ahead and make that move. It almost looks like Cocky just surrendered it.
Again, Cocky might be playing the chess game, thinking, 3 moves ahead, and thinking, okay, I can get it back next lap, and then I can be ahead on the final one.
He's got to be careful, though, because I think the Estonian is putting down the lap times now as he's opened up about a 5 or 6 car length lead through this technical section. Kaki's got to be careful.
Yeah, this is where it's critical for Kaki because the draft isn't as powerful. He's got to be smooth and really strong out of these corners there. This is a great example. He got a great exit out of Tosa coming up the hill. There's a bit of a draft here, and that's going to keep him in touch up to Piratella.
At the 2-minute mark, but it's really they're gonna see the white flag this time around. Kaki in position.
He's got to stay with him here through Aqua Minerale. Looking very good, staying tidy. Can he get the good exit? It's good enough.
As we watch, we're almost this kind of hesitant to even speak because the drama is so good. It plays out right there for you. You really don't need us to tell you. What I do think that Kaki needs to do, I don't think he can afford to be in this position on the last lap. I'd like to see him a little bit closer and see if he can get this done down the main straight, going into that first chicane, and then play defense from there. It's all going to be important here on these last 2 corners.
And just a quick note, we're hearing that Neptune is towed. I'm not sure what happened to him. I'm kind of keeping an eye on this battle because right now is the important time to watch this.
Kaki a little bit far back, but maybe that's good. Maybe he can get enough run where he really gets some momentum. They cross that finish line right there. You can see it right at the bend. Now he gets a run. Now the track weaves back and forth. I don't think he's going to get there this time, Joe, and that's really going to put the pressure on him.
Noom did exactly what he needed to do. He just bolted out of that last corner like a bat out of hell, and that kept Kaki from having an opportunity down into Tamburello. Now Kaki's got the hard job. He's really got to find a way somewhere around this circuit because, again, from what we've seen, he's not going to have enough time, it looks like, to draft by out of that last corner.
Now here's another opportunity now. I don't think it's going to be close enough. He has the lap car of Collier to get around. Pretty good run. Let's see, pretty good dive in from Kaki. Not sure what kind of exit he's going to get.
In a moment, Cooper's going to have to make himself into a Mini Cooper and get out of the way.
Yeah, the way these guys are coming, I think they might get there, and it might be at a key moment.
Because they definitely don't want to catch him either here into Aqua Minerale or into Alta. They're not going to get him here, but up into Alta, they might be bottled up behind him unless he's aware and pulls over to the side. He's kind of pulling over. He's staying ahead. This could be interesting here, Bill.
Boy, you don't want to find him here now. This is where you can pull over. Oh, look at that!
Him. This is the best chance for Pierce Kaki. If he can just get a run, I think he had to lift as well, but he's close behind him. Look at Noam defend.
Kaki's got to force the issue if he has any hopes of getting the lead. But he is close enough. Is there enough time? If he gets a good drive, it's hard to have a better exit than Errol Num. Kaki doing a pretty good job behind him. He needs a good corner off of here. It looks like he has a pretty good angle in. He takes it wide into the sand for all it's worth. Is there any momentum out there on the grass? He's running him. It's Noom out in front. It's Kaki behind him. Here comes the start-finish line. Kaki looking for somewhere to go. He has a bit of a drive. He's going. He's trying. He's getting there. No, he doesn't get there. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I knew he was going to use all the track and then some, but I didn't expect him to go about 3 miles out on that corner. Didn't pay off in the end, but wow, credit to Pierce Kaki for giving it a run for his money.
Burns gets 3rd. Vandeveld gets 4th. Allard, there's really not a battle back here. Allard gets 5th.
Johan, you're killing me, Smalls.
We're going to get one of those Peaks Podiums picks right here pretty soon. Scott Brazier in 7th position coming across.
Vocek, who sounded like he was not having the most fun race, still managed to top 10. He's in 8th.
Here we go. I get to say this one here. Rodrigo Ferreira?
I know. I've given up on that one. Ferreira is what I've been going with.
Should not be that hard to do there. And this one is more fun. Here we go. 9th position to Mikael Hoflundesen.
Hausman just outside the top 10. However, he started 14th, so he still gained some spots along the way. Same thing with Alex Sturm, who's definitely been in the wars.
Go ahead, try to get some of these drivers. Copenhoot there, 13th.
Boy, what a day for Holmes. This is one he's going to want to forget. Started 4th, finished 14th. Parks in 15th. Behind him, Stefan Schmidt. Actually, Stefan, give him a hard charger. I think 14 positions gained.
Pretty nice. I think that's the biggest one here.
And Reino Tani ties him for that, 31st to 17th, just behind him.
Right behind him, follow him all the way through. In fact, look at this, and maybe this one's even bigger, 33rd to 18th for Kuhn.
Yeah, just by one position, Darren Kuhn. And, you know, I think a lot of these guys did take advantage of working their way around some of the accidents we saw in lap 1.
Director, we want to go to that replay now, or when we come back from... we're going to show you a replay. This is Neptune, and this is kind of interesting. Joe and I haven't seen it yet, so we'll be watching it for the first time with you. Here's Frederick Neptune.
All right, let's see if we can figure out what happened here. Whoa! Is this a lapped car that he got into? Campenhout?
Got into the back of Campenhout. We're going to go
right
on board with Frederick.
Oh, and it looks like it damaged the car. He started to pull off. I'm guessing that he got a meatball and the car was undrivable. This is a battle with Campenhout. I think this was actually for position. I called that wrong. Coming into Tamburello, Campenhout went a little bit wide on the first part, came back, and it looked like Neptune just did not expect him to be at that apex.
Frederick saying, "Oh, come on, guys. Why don't you show me when I'm doing well?" All right, Frederick. With that little bit, we're going to take a short break. Now, this is the Global Sim Racing Channel. Joe and I will be back in a few minutes to run down the entire standings, do driver interviews, and then close up shop. So don't go far. We'll be back in just a few. Joe Peak, along with me, Bill Soups on here on the Global Sim Racing Channel, bringing you the Absolute Beginner League. This is Formula Neagle, round 3 of 7 on their Season 9 schedule from Imola. Oh, we had an exciting one there. Our winner now, it's 3 in a row for Errol Num. That's going to increase his point lead. Pierce Cockey had a nice run, qualified second, finished second, and gave Arrow everything he could ask for, making a valiant effort through the beach, across the grass, just ran out of time before the start-finish line got there. David Burns in third, Johan Vandervelde in fourth, rounding out the top 5, Ricard Allard. Mikael Ingstrom took 6th, 7th, and 8th, went to Scott Bregier and Wojciech Podolzek. 9th position went to Rodrigo Fiera, and then 10th goes to Mikael Hoflundesen. Joe?
Bastian Hausman finished in the 11th position with Alex Sturm behind him in 12th. M. Van Kampenhout finished in 13th with Brian Holmes not having the race that he really wanted, coming home in 14th position. Michael Parks was behind him in 15th with Stefan Schmidt finishing in 16th. Then in 17th, it's Ray Otani, followed by Edgar Sanchinelli, and then Darren Kuhn in 19th, followed by Cooper Collier in 20th.
And just a note to Cooper Collier, not only will there not be a bear claw for you at the Backmarkers United meeting, you are now in charge of setting up the chairs. You got to do a little bit of better job of getting out of the way of the leaders when they're coming up to you there with half a lap to go, like 2 corners to go. In 21st position, get off my soapbox now, Adam Bradshaw. Hitting 22 there is Michael Key. 23rd and 24th goes to Frederick Neptune, who we saw had that problem there a little bit later in the race, and Fredrian Youngbluth. 25th position to Didier Smith. Right behind him was Darren Bolton. Adam Olenson and Tuan Tran go 27th and 28th. Tran never able to make up that opening lap penalty that he had to serve. 29th goes to Mr. Excitement, Leon Quinn, and rounding out the top 30 is David Hoffman. Joe?
We're now into drivers that ran into trouble early on and finished multiple laps down. Vincent Brame in 31st. Jorn von Wendt in 32nd, Johan Hallberg. This is not the day our champion in standing wants. He's 33rd. Ashley Beard in 34th. Adrian Cruz, 35th. Joachim Lundgren, 36th. Mark Figueres, 37th. Kevin Mills in 38th. Daniel Kruger, 39th. And Alan McCain was a did not start. So with that, Bill, who do we have for interviews?
I'm going to let you talk to our winner now. This is 3 in a row. So far, he's been perfect for the season, and that is the Roland Estonian, Aaron Num. Go ahead, Joe.
Arrow, congrats. You're 3 for 3 this season. This is a great start. You had to work for this one, though. Did Piers have you sweating at any point?
Yeah. He has found some speed somewhere, so it was really, really difficult.
Now, early on in the race, it looked like you, Burns, and Cockey were working very well together. Was that the case? Did you guys have sort of a non-verbal agreement to try and work together during the first half for the pit stops?
Not really. My plan was just to be ahead of David.
So you were trying to stretch away, but couldn't drop them. Well, in the end, it looked like you had a really good run on when you took the white flag. Was that intentional to try to keep Piers from getting by you with 1 to go?
Yeah, maybe he makes a mistake, so that was my plan, going to the last lap.
And then you had to hold him off. What were you thinking when you came up to the back marker of Cooper Collier into the Alta chicane?
I was thinking, it's over. There is no chance.
Well, you still managed to keep it together and hold him off only 4/10, actually 4/100ths of a second at the line. Congratulations. Nicely earned win.
Thank you.
That was Eero Noom, our winner, Bill, today here in round 3.
Now I'm going to be able to talk to our other podium finisher. We don't have Cockey with us, but we can go ahead and talk to David Burns. He's always a good interview. David, congratulations on the 3rd place. You made yourself the podium. Looked like strategy was playing out well for you, and then you got a little bit of back marker problems.
Yeah, I knew I didn't have the pace to keep up with those guys, so I'm actually surprised I held the draft as long. And I saw Eero go for that move, and I thought, that's it, I've lost it.
Yeah, he got you there in one of those the chicanes on the backside there. That was Rodrigo Capoletto there that got in between you. And then once he got away from you, That's all she wrote. Now, the strategy, you knew it when you saw Noom come in for that first pit stop. You knew immediately, I'm coming in the very next time. Were you surprised that your partner didn't come in with you?
Yeah, I was really expecting Pierce to go in, but I thought, well, he's got the pace, so maybe he thought he could, keep up with him. But I was surprised he came out in front of him. I really was.
Are you able, when you're in that, because it's hard to tell from the booth about who has pace and who doesn't when you're in these draft battles, but behind the cockpit, know that you're giving everything you have and you're there because of the tow?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the Oculus helps with that, and also the last corner. I could tell I didn't have the pace to catch on the straight, so I just thought try and fuel save and see if I can beat them. But still, yet again, third.
Yeah, you know what? You're gonna have yourself your second in points. That's all wonderful. The problem is the guy who you're chasing keeps one spot or two spots ahead of you the whole time. What have you done this season? I know you've talked about the Oculus. You've really picked up your game, and we've seen you get faster. Now you're a legitimate podium finisher. Well, so far every race this season. Is it practice time? Is it the Oculus? Is it just experience? What do you think?
I would say it's mostly the Oculus, but my throttle control, because with the Skippy you've got to keep a lot more throttle on than you think, so holding throttle on through the corners makes a big difference, and I think I've worked on that an awful lot.
Well, man, it's fun to watch you race. I think with a little bit of the cards be dealt out to you the right way, I think you got time to pick up a win later this season. So good luck to you. Keep it going, David, and we'll see you down the road.
Cheers. Can I play my Joker and make Aero not finish first next time?
There you go. Play the wild card. All right, David Burns is your third place finisher today. And a good representative for the Oculus. I think he might be on the payroll there. If he isn't, somebody should sign him up because it makes me want to go at it. If I'm going to be faster, I'm good. That's all it took. Clearly, that's been my problem. All right, Joe. I think, do we have any more interviews or are we done here?
I think Johan, our fourth place finisher, is ready to talk to us.
Okay.
We've pulled Johan into the booth, and Johan, you were my pick for third today, and I'm sure you wanted it even more than I wanted you to finish in third, but I have to ask, was there anything you felt you could have done to get up onto that podium?
Well, first of all, my apologies, Joe, to disappoint you with not getting the podium. Now, I was talking with David after the race, and I think that I might have been able to stay in the draft, but in lap 1, when we came to the Variante Alta, I think the name is, I outbraked myself. And I had a really weird exit, and I lost 1 second, 1.5 seconds. So I was immediately out of the draft after lap 1. And because of that, like my chances were doomed, because you had Pierce up front and you had Aero up front, and they were just incredibly quick today. And yeah, David did well by not making a mistake and like staying in the draft and getting P3. And yeah, I don't. If I didn't make that mistake, I might have made it another time in the race. So. Yeah, I'm quite happy with P4, to be honest.
Now, we noticed that, the obvious place is the front stretch where the draft pays the most dividends and keeps you in check. But it seems like the rest of the track is very technical. Where do you feel is the next most important part to try and stay close to the guy behind?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. Well, the thing is like... the draft is a huge factor here, so it's like in a lot of circuits with the Skippy. It's not really about not making mistakes. It's about not making enough mistakes. Like keeping you have a certain margin of error that you can have because of the draft. You can stay with the car in front. Like you say, like the front stretch is really important because it curves a little bit and it's really difficult to pass there. But the draft is so strong that lap time wise you can make a few mistakes and still are pretty decent in the draft. So yeah, it's a funny track that way.
Well, still fourth place, not a bad finish, especially with you starting fifth. That's one position gain, so you can't complain about that. Are you happy with this?
Oh, incredibly. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of practice this week, so the fact that I could, I think it was Brian who was P4, I could pass him immediately at the start. It was really good. It's a shame that I couldn't hold the draft much longer, but I'm happy with my pace over P5, and if I could have signed for P4 at the beginning of the race, I would have done that, so quite happy.
All right, that was Johan van den Belt, fourth place finisher today at Imola. Bill?
Okay, we have one more interview for you, and it's going to be our 7th place finisher today. I believe he is, if my records are right, he is on Bushfink Pink. I think he's the teammate of Errol Num. So a 1st and a 7th, that's going to help that team. It's Scott Brazier. Scott, congratulations.
Hi, thank you.
You were back there in that second train early on. That there were 4 cars out in front, and then there was a little bit of gap. Then there was probably a 12 to 14, 15 car train. And my goodness, things you were able to avoid all the action that happened back there little by little, but not even little by little, large by large. Drivers were being removed from that thing.
Yeah, it was a bit crazy. I had an incident myself. Someone didn't see me on the left, and I got caught up and dropped out of it myself. So I was involved in that for most of the race. How much practice were you able to get in for this one? Yeah, trying to spend. It's a new track. Still learning the car quite a lot. So I think I put in about an hour and a half or something like that over the last couple of days in the various sessions. So. Well, you had chipped in 5 points for your team last time. You're going to chip in a few more here with your 7th place finish. How did you go ahead? Let me know, because I'd like to know how you do this. How do you go ahead and get somebody like Errol Num as your teammate? Because I may want to take notes and see if I can use that in the future. Yeah, it was potluck. Everyone else had their teams assigned and things like that, and Hero was looking for a teammate, and to run with a guy against like Hero. It's always good to be picked to do that, but it always makes you look bad, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. I wanted to, is it okay if I let you know how to say my surname? Is that all right? Sure. No, let's go ahead. How is it? I just listened to some of the videos on YouTube. It's Brazier. For records. Easy enough. It sounds something like I might do to a steak. I got it. Brazier. Got it. That's it, mate. There you go. Hey, well, and not to downplay your role on Bushfink Pink, but honestly, I think your contribution last season was the turning point that got that team to the championship. So, good luck the rest of the season. Let's see if you can get some podiums. Maybe surprise us with something out there. Okay? You never know. Thanks. All right, Scott Brazier, your 7th place driver today. Joe, I think that's going to wrap it up for us now. We'd like to go ahead and thank everybody at the Absolute Beginner League for organizing Formula Neagle and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Also, thanks to ilovesimracing.co.uk. I Love Sim Racing is a website where you will find quality-made sim racing button boxes custom-made to your own specifications, okay? Personalized just for you, making your sim racing experience more realistic and fun. It helps you execute all those important in-race vehicle settings and pit stop changes, giving you the extra edge on the track, all at the very affordable and competitive price. Working closely with you, it's their goal to create the exact button box layout you've been looking for. Figure out what it is you want and what it is you don't want, resulting in a box just for you that nobody, and this is like DNA, they could do DNA on this box and it would be related right to you. Nobody else has anything like this. Your button box will not only work on your PC, but also on your PlayStation platform as well. ilovesimracing.co.uk, the home for your personal created button boxes. Joe?
I'm not sure how to follow that one up, but thanks to the companies and equipment and software that you see on the screen now that we use on our broadcast. The original music you've heard on today's broadcast is thanks to Eric Eckholt and Casey Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact each of them. Next up for Formula Neagle will be in 2 weeks, October 16th. It's round 4 from Suzuka off to Japan. The GSRC will be there to bring you all the action. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including dates and times for all upcoming broadcasts, go to globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel, Bill.
And now finally, on behalf of my mic mate, Joe Peak, our director, Amjad Yam, and our camera artist, Dougie Beer, all of our sponsors, I'd like to thank you, the fans, for watching. And with that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.